Now we go live to the scene of an officer-involved shooting where Brian Willis is standing by. I'm here at the scene of an officer-involved shooting from earlier today that left one man dead. Details at this point are sketchy. In fact, we just came from a press conference with the chief where he said he had no comment, refused to provide details on what led up to the shooting or what occurred during the shooting. What we have been able to piece together is that earlier today a member of the police department was involved in a traffic stop. During that traffic stop, he was engaged in a struggle or an altercation with a 30-year-old white male, and that male was subsequently shot and killed by the officer. How many shots were fired are unknown. Reason for the traffic stop is unknown. Everyone's not sure whether this gentleman was the driver or passenger in the vehicle. I'll continue to work on this story and bring you live updates as they become available. Brian Willis is reporting live from the scene of a candlelight vigil being held outside of police headquarters, where citizens have gathered tonight demanding answers, information, and justice in regards to the officer-involved shooting 2 days ago that left one man dead. That man has subsequently been identified as John Doe. Now, earlier today I spoke to the chief of police, and he's still refusing to provide details about the events leading up to the shooting or what happened during the shooting itself. I've had the opportunity to speak to members of the crowd tonight that have identified themselves as family and friends of the deceased John Doe. One of them said that he believes that the police used a taser on John before they shot and killed him. And other family members have told us that John was a troubled man, and although he was going through a difficult time in his life, there was no reason for the police to shoot him. Brian Willis reporting on the continually evolving situation where last night's peaceful protest has turned into a large-scale disturbance that's resulted in major clashes between large groups of protesters and the police, resulting in rocks and bottles being thrown at the police using tear gas and pepper spray to disperse the crowd. There have been a number of businesses in the downtown area that have been damaged. We're getting reports a number of people have been injured. Although the exact numbers are unclear, we've had information that at least 2 officers are injured, and a number of arrests have been made overnight. The police are continuing to work to establish order in the downtown area, and while things now are relatively calm, tensions remain high. Now, in the story that I just relayed to you, what was the most dangerous weapon used by the police? Was it the gun that killed John Doe? Was it the taser that was allegedly used against John? Was it the pepper spray? Was it the tear gas? Was it the shields and the batons and the crowd control unit that responded to disperse the crowds? Or was it words? And not just any words, 2 words, perhaps the 2 most dangerous words in a law enforcement executive's vocabulary. These 2 words, no comment. Now, why would I suggest that these 2 words are the most dangerous words in a law enforcement executive's vocabulary? Because when there is a shooting in your community that involves the police and somebody is dead as a result of that shooting, and you hear the chief or the sheriff or the head of the state police stand up at the press conference and say no comment, what you think is cover-up. And you wonder what the police did wrong and why are they trying to cover up. Now, why would we think that? Because in every other major event in your community, at the press conference, the police give the facts as we know them, and we talk about the ongoing investigation. If there's a murder in your community, we talk about the facts as we know them, and we talk about the ongoing investigation. If there's a school shooting or shooting in a church or a mall, we give the facts as we know them, and we talk about the ongoing investigation. If there's a shooting where the police have shot someone to protect a citizen and save the life of a citizen, we generally talk about the facts as we know them. We praise the actions of the officer for saving the life of a member of our community, and then we talk about the ongoing investigation. But when there's an officer involved in a life or death struggle, and they shoot a subject and take a life to save their own life, then too often the chief or the sheriff stands up and says, no comment. And when members of the community hear no comment, very often they think cover-up. And when the officers from the involved agency hear no comment, they feel angry and they feel betrayed. Because one of their brother or sister officers was just involved in a violent struggle for their life, perhaps the most traumatic event in their lifetime. And they took the life of another human being to save their own life. And now their leader at that press conference, an opportunity to educate people about what happened and voice their support for the officer, stands up and says, no comment. And when the police are going to refuse to comment, then it opens the door for self-appointed and alleged experts, for politicians, for special interest groups to comment. The problem is their comments are often based on rumor and innuendo and speculation. They're always based on emotion, rarely based on the facts, because we don't release the facts as they're known at that moment in time. Now, we need to understand that police use of force is very rare. In fact, all of the research that's been done around North America that would suggest of the tens of millions of interactions that law enforcement professionals around North America have with members of the public, then less than 1% of them result in the use of force beyond the mere application of handcuffs and low-level control holds. Police-involved shootings are extremely rare. And yet you wouldn't get that from watching the news or television. How rare? Well, in 2011, according to the National Institute of Justice, of the in excess of 40 million contacts that took place between law enforcement professionals and citizens in this country, the number that resulted in shootings, not in the police killing somebody, but in a shooting by the police, would equate to 0.00002865%. Now, the statisticians would likely tell you that that's an insignificant number. But if you're that officer, if your family member is involved in that incident, if that's your community, if that's your neighborhood, if that's your village, your town, your city, then it's a significant incident. And at that press conference following the incident, the comment or the no comment by the chief or the sheriff is very often the tipping point that will determine how this event is going to play out in that community following the shooting. So what is the answer? The answer is to grow courage. The answer is to grow relationships. Grow the courage within the law enforcement community to give the facts as we know them and to comment. And if the facts as we know them support the fact that the officer acted reasonably, then say that. And if the investigation proves that the actions of the officers were inappropriate or unlawful or unreasonable, then we need to have the courage to stand up and say that as well. We need to grow relationships between the law enforcement agencies and the communities that we police and that we serve and protect. And we grow those relationships through a culture of integrity and courage and character, through discussion, through dialogue, through debate, through communication, and through education. Education about what? Well, we need to have the courage to educate everybody within the law enforcement profession and the law enforcement culture about the realities of the dynamics of these confrontations, and we need to educate the general public about this as well.